And we're back to learning Illustrator in a year, day 2. Let us open our first project. When you start Illustrator, this is usually the window that you see. Might look a little bit different here and there. For example, your recent should be empty when you've never used it, but the layout is the same. Don't worry too much about all of these options under Files. For us important as a start are these two options, New File and Open. Under Open you can open projects that you may have downloaded, and if you've used Illustrator, also projects that you've already saved. But if you haven't anything like that, well then New File. This is the option that you need. Left click on it and this should open this window right here. And this allows you to set the size of your first project. And Adobe has a couple of templates inbuilt that you can find right here. And you can also click on free templates on the top now. And here they are categorized. You can find all of these in the specific categories yet again. For example, the first here is social. You can find that as well at the top. And there's a chance to view more and then basically download them from Adobe. Here we have film and video, which gives you the typical sizes, but also the specific templates for that. Social, for example YouTube, thumbnails, 1280 x 720, and below templates for that. By default, Open should be recent, and on the right hand side we can create our custom project. Let me for example rename that to tutorial 1. We can set width and height. I'll stick to 9020 x 1080. And to the right of it you see orientation. This flips it, so this simply switches with height and vice versa. Pixels, this is the unit that's used. And artboards, I'm going to explain that later on. We'll stick to 1 for now. Bleed is another thing that I'm going to explain later. It's basically for printing options. So if you want to print something out, it has to be cut and therefore a bleed is created. But now we're going to omit that. Relatively important is the background contents. By default, it should be transparent and I would urge you to keep it like that. But you could also create a white, black or another background color. And then we have advanced options. Keep that closed for now when you're a total beginner. This is also something that I'm going to talk about later. To create our project now, we just have to confirm via create. And let me close this message here. You can actually see this is our artboard. It says so artboard 1. And if I go to File, New, this allows us to create a new project. I'll make the artboards, well, let's say 4. Keep everything else as it was for our first project. I confirm. And now you can see we have 4 artboards. So this is simply the difference between 1 and 4. Your artboard is, you could say, the canvas, and then you have this grayish background. It's comparable to Photoshop if you're used to using that. But one thing to mention here is you can easily, for example, use the paintbrush and then left click drag, and you can exceed your artboard relatively easily, and you can still see everything right here on the background. So this artboard is helpful when it comes to orientation and finding the sizes that you need. So in our previous menu we've set that to 9020 x 1080, but you can create all kinds of elements. Let me for example create a rectangle here. I'll make that red with no stroke. And if I create another one, you can see we can easily create that outside of our artboard as well, and even make overlaps. Here we have all kinds of helpful videos popping up. Can be a little bit annoying, especially when you've used Illustrator for quite some time. You don't want that anymore. I'm going to show you later on how to turn that off, but when you're a beginner, it can actually be quite helpful to have it. And that's it. This is how you can create your first project in Illustrator. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.